numb. It is the numbest it's ever been. Hey yo, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about writer things, parent things, and writer-parent things. This week I want to talk about the types of death according to Sam. A little disclaimer explanation here real quick. My stand is it broke in like 2 places, which has made it very touchy at the moment. So if the framing is off or anything happens during filming, that's why. The joys of having to work with what we got, you know? If you like my channel and you like what I do here, maybe perhaps subscribe and ring-a-ding the bell. I also very much appreciate all of the comments that I receive. I like responding, and I really like knowing what parts of the content people do and don't like. A reminder that I do host live stream on Mondays, where sometimes we get productivity done and other times we just sit there and, you know, shoot the shit, talk about whatever I feel like. Do remember, folks, that these videos are based on my personal experiences, knowledge, and research, so take what you can, leave what you can't, and these kind of videos, especially when I'm just being a goof, do take with a grain of salt. An eye-rolling death. You know, the really over-dramatized kind. When the narrative really wants us to understand that this death was super important and it's really impactful. And we know this because they tell us over 50 times how important and bad it was that this character died. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. This character died and it's like super important and we all need to know that it sucks because I'm being told like 8,000 times that it does. The entire plot has stopped moving so I can understand the gravity of the situation. Or the character takes approximately 7,000 hours to die. Okay, look, I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit of a sucker for that extended death scene so that characters can get their closure. Realistic or not, I don't care. I eat that shit up. However, there's a limit. Like, if the dying is taking longer than the fight to get to the fatal wound took, I ain't gonna be a very pleased viewer or reader. Granted, there are a few exceptions to this. I can think of 2 shows that actually took about half an episode to an episode to allow for some grieving and to show how characters were impacted by the death. However, in both of these instances, the impact worked with the plot and helped to move the plot forward. So it's like not exactly the same as what I'm bitching about here, but and in one of those instances, I was still kind of eye-rolly to it, so I am what I am. Oh no, it's a shocking death. You know the kind, they're not foreshadowed, they come out of nowhere. Hell, maybe even the genre conventions that the story takes place in say that this character should have genre armor. Sometimes the plot is even in favor of that character living, or would just be better if that character lived. After a while, deaths based on shock value become boring and predictable, so they're not really like shocking in any way. Now, don't get it twisted. I am in favor of a really good shock death. Like, normally, the first one is super impactful, and a lot of times a shock value death can actually be foreshadowed, but because of the conventions of the genre, the reader or the viewer just does not pick up on it, or they're just like, it ain't gonna happen, so then when it does happen, it's like, oh my fuck, they killed him. Like, it's kind of a thing because while it's a really great literary device and has been used in a lot of things that I really enjoy, media kind of, if they do it once, then it works really well. They're like, oh damn, this is the thing that worked, and then they just kind of overuse it, and then it becomes a gimmick, and it's all like, look, nobody's safe and everyone can die at any time, even if it doesn't serve the plot favorably. Thanks, I hate it. a death that is not super impactful to me specifically, but it does make a lot of sense for the plot and works really well. Plots call for deaths sometimes, and a lot of times they call for very specific characters to die. I can appreciate a very well written and executed death scene, even if I don't like a character, which sadly, even when I do like a character, I usually just am not very impacted by their death. Even when the death was written so well that all of my other friends are sobbing or crying or it hit them deep down in their soul, I'm usually just very, yeah, that sucked. I didn't like that they died. These deaths I tend to just really appreciate for their purpose and their execution. They're normally really well done. They were foreshadowed to perfection, and the ramifications continue on further into the plot, and I'm like, I am here for that emotional development consistency. I mean, all in all, they're great deaths. They just didn't hit me emotionally. I mean, what can I say? Sometimes I'm a cold, immortal deity of mysterious and ancient origins. Alright, but hear me out, okay? On the other side of that, sometimes a character dies and it just didn't make no fucking sense. Like, the way they died probably didn't make sense, the reason they died didn't make sense, the character's reactions to the death don't make sense, and I don't think everyone reacts to death and grieving the same way. I am very well aware that everybody grieves in their own way, but it just don't make sense. Just nothing about the situation makes sense on any level. It's especially frustrating when the narrative is all like, oh, well, it's too bad, they had to die. Oh, and it's like, but did they? But did they? And the narrative is like, oh yes, it was so tragic that they had to die for plot to continue. And I'm like, but did they? But why? Are we sure they needed to die? Because it does not feel like this was the only solution any of you could have thought of. And no, I'm not just bitching about like when my favorite characters die for seemingly no reason, although that is very common too. I mean, like, I'm like this when I could hate their motherfucking guts and be glad that they're dead, but if it didn't make any sense, I'm still like, but why? Death should serve a purpose in the plot. I don't care if the only purpose of the death is to shock readers and be like, shit's gonna be dark. Death must serve a purpose. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, the really gross deaths. After the last one, I really want to emphasize that these deaths usually serve a purpose within the plot. And a lot of times they're really well executed. It's just, sometimes characters die in really icky ways. And depending on how it is, it might get a chuckle or a laugh out of me. The one that stands out to me the most is in Jurassic Park. The T-Rex eats this poor motherfucker while he's on the shitter, and it's just, that is disgusting for a number of reasons, but it got chuckles out of me because it's pretty fucked up, and I find that really funny, which is usually the reason these deaths are done this way. I don't prefer them. I usually want to just avoid them and everything, but they do serve a purpose, and they are usually well done, and a shit ton of people find them hilarious. So go forth and enjoy your nasty deaths. You see, this death I've been waiting for, and I'm so very pleased that it's here. I may have shown some vindictive tendencies in the past, and you know what? It is a part of my personality that I have long ago accepted and tried to only use for good. However, sometimes when I really dislike a character, or their actions, I really, really, really want them to die, and in very unpleasant ways. The creative gods, however, are not always kind, but when they are, I eat that shit up. I love a good comeuppance death. I love when characters who have been really mean or shitty to the characters that I love and have become protective over get what's coming to them. Granted, these characters don't always get what I think they deserve, but at least dead, they can do no more harm to the characters that I really love. Does this mean that I have a complicated relationship with redemption arcs and redemption through death? Yes, it does. Perhaps that could be a different video topic. Let me know down below if you'd be interested in that. I am walking away and never engaging with this media again. Usually a dog or a horse has. But look, there's some deaths that I can just not forgive for any reason whatsoever. Does not matter if this was well done, doesn't matter if it was well executed, doesn't matter if it was the best motherfucking story written in the world. I'm just not doing it, alright? Where the Red Fern Grows did a number on me as a child. Like, I hate it so much I will not read, I will not listen, I will not engage, I won't even really talk about it except to say that I just know. However, the death doesn't have to be an animal companion, because, you know, sometimes I'm just watching something and I don't actually like what I'm watching or what I'm reading, but there's that one character that I would murder the rest of the planet for, and then they die, and I'm like, well, what is the point here? Or, you know, I might like something, and then I just cannot forgive how a character died or something. Whatever the circumstances are, this character has died, my feelings and soul have been personally attacked, and just, we're done. I'm not forgiving this media, and we're never speaking again. Sometimes I really, really, really love a character. I've become unhealthily attached to this character. They might not even be my favorite character. It's just, I love them in specific. How does this work? I don't know. My levels of attachment and favoritism is really complicated and weird. And look, I don't care if the death made sense. I don't care if it was an integral part of the plot, much like with our previous unforgivable death. I don't care if resurrecting this character is going to break the world. Bring them back. Need a cheap undo button? I'm here for it. Got some do ex machina bullshit? Bring it in. Now, I feel like I should specify that this is not good writing advice, and some of this may actually go against good writing advice, but I don't care. This is not a writing advice video. This is a kinds of character deaths according to me video, and I want them back. I will not accept the murdering of this precious, precious fictional character that I've become unhealthily attached to go on. Please bring them back. I feel that I should go ahead and clarify that while this may seem to fall under the unforgivable type of death, like, the unforgivable kind of death, it doesn't even have to be my favorite character or a character that I'm unhealthily attached to. I just refuse to forgive this particular kind of death. But with this one, I can still engage and continue on even if my absolute favorite character or the character that I am unhealthily attached to continues. There's no explaining it. There's just not. There's just not the same kind of death to me. But okay. Sibling relationships and friendships that mirror sibling relationships are almost guaranteed to hit me in my heart and soul in such a special way that it activates the tears. Hell, there's a show that I didn't even like him. I was looking forward to him dying, actually. I was pretty pleased. And then he died, and his little brother was so sad. You don't understand. I cried. I cried 3 separate times in the episode and a half as the little brother's arc continued on without his brother, and his brother was like his world, and I was like, where did you do this? And I bawled. Nope. That was not okay. There was another show where I also hated that brother, and then he died, but his other brother, he was like, was the younger one, and the older one felt really guilty because he's like, it's my job to protect you, but you died and just, it was no! Oh, not okay. It's not okay. It's never okay. A book did recently make me shed a tear as well because of a character death that I don't want to go into because it's like the book just came out, but no. Family sacrificing themselves for family is not okay, and it makes me cry. It makes me so sad. These deaths just make me feel my own feelings, and why would you do this to me? But also, please keep doing it to me, because it's so good. But also, alright everyone, that's all I got for you this week. What kinds of character deaths do you see out there? What are your faves? What are the ones you hate? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked this video, like my channel, maybe give me a thumbs up, subscribe, ring-a-ding the bell. I greatly appreciate all of the support. I host live streams on Mondays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, where sometimes we write and be productive, and other times we just kind of sit around and talk and have a lot of fun. Remember, folks, if you're curious about whether or not I can write, you can check out my website, SamanthaLNasset.com, to find my flash fiction there. And if you would like to stalk me on my social medias, that's cool too. I'm at Samantha L. Nasset on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, and TikTok. That's really all I got for everybody, so hope to see you soon.